is a face I no longer recognize, like a nameless headstone where a forgotten memory lies. I surrendered my eyes so that you could see the rainbow's hue. Now I am left in the dark, fumbling for a path I once knew. Once I was a poem written in ink, prayer and blood, then you arrived, erased the lines and drowned them in a flood. I let myself become the soil just so you could learn to bloom, but once you flowered, you pulled your roots and left me to my doom. Ghost of skin and bone. I search for my voice in a throat that has grown stiff and dry, but all I hear is the echo of your footsteps saying goodbye. This wreckage isn't because you are no longer by my side. It's because when you left, you took the me that lived inside. I stand in the middle of the crowd, shivering in blue, because I have forgotten how to be myself without being a part of you. Within the same app's lines, yet our compass needles no longer share the same designs. I reach for your fingers, but I only feel the weight of stone. Cold and silent, as if we were a language I now speak alone. Once your eyes were the home where I'd rest my weary head. Now they are shuttered windows, draped in heavy thread. I am right here, breathing in the curve of your next sex. But I know your mind is wandering paths where I was never meant. The sharpest blade is not the act of leaving, but sitting side by side while 1,000 miles of distance are weaving. We are pretending to mend pieces that have already turned to dust. At a banquet table where the love has long since succumbed to rust. You left before a sentence could ever reach its final dot, leaving a hanging comma like a wound that time forgot. There was no shouting, no door slammed to shake the floor, just a sudden silence as if you'd never walked through the door. I searched for answers in the folds of the clothes you left behind, under the pillow where the scent of your embrace is still entwined. But silence is a cruel master, the harshest way to learn. It keeps me asking questions while you have no more concern. As it turns out, you were practicing how to let me go, while I was still busy planting dreams I thought would grow. Every kiss upon my forehead felt a fraction shorter each day, like the hurried wave of a traveler before the train pulls away. You were packing your bags in the corners of your mind, while I was planning the futures I thought we'd find. You began to speak and I instead of we, a subtle shift, building walls of silence through which our secrets started to drift. The pain didn't start when you finally walked out the door, but when I realized you hadn't been there for a month or more, you let me love a shadow that had already lost its soul, watching me fight for a hole that was no longer whole. You didn't actually leave me in a sudden obstruction life. You just paid the silence in installments until there was nothing left to save. Now I stand in the ruins you vacated with such calculated grace. one still living in this empty space. Once we were the neatest of verses, rhymes seeking each other in every morning light. But now the letters wither one by one, becoming a silence that stabs the soul most sharp. The love you claimed was eternal was but a guest who stayed a while, then turned to go. You left your footprints upon wounds still wet, letting our promises rot away like refuse. I stand amidst the ruins of home, trying to gather the fragments of memory, but every time my fingers reach for your shadow,